Headspace.
All right, welcome everybody to Headspace by my mama done told me. You just gulped, didn't you?
Didn't mean to. I
Like
didn't do
right
that.
when I started.
She looked right at you.
Right when I start the intro.
Yeah. You should have waited.
Anyway, so this is a segment where we get to sit down with experts in various fields and pick their mind about. Oh, what was the expert word a little bit too?
There's no experts in this field.
Okay, well, you might be
Experienced.
There you go.
where we sit down with the experienced in various fields and talk to them about mindset, passions, why they do what they do, and kind of what keeps them going and all that sort of thing, and why they started doing it, and in some cases, those things that they're doing would make the average person's skin crawl, I believe, and that this may be one of those evenings. So, my name is Jeff. I'm joined by my sister, as always, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. And today, we were supposed to be in this really creepy torture dungeon.
DJ has a torture dungeon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be at DJ's house, but he got sick. So, I know.
Lame.
He's just not dedicated to a podcast that he's not involved in. But instead, we're in the normal recording creepy basement. Yeah. But we're not alone, possibly in more ways than one. But Marcia actually said already that she feels like we are alone down here. So
well, that's
there's
I have not seen anything down.
nothing floating around yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
yet being the keyword.
We are venturing into the world of the paranormal with two experienced investigators, not experts. I have expert written in my notes here, but from, did you just say D.A.M.M?
D.A.M.M.
D.A.M.M, okay.
D.A.M.M. Paranormal.
D.A.M.M. Paranormal. Marcia and Paul the Wizard.
Oh, well, I expected Paul, but yeah.
Well, when I was told that you were going to be joining us, you were referred to as the Wizard. So
Gotcha, well.
yeah, so that's okay with me if that's okay with you. So
You should be used to that name by
yeah,
now.
that's fine.
So Marcia and Paul have dedicated years to exploring haunted locations, capturing some compelling evidence, including audio evidence that we'll be talking a little bit about today. And investigating the unexplained. We are thrilled to share some of your experiences with you and for having you here. Thank you both for being here, Paul and Marcia.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's start, I think, with just a little bit of an introduction. Your team is more than just the two of you,
Yes.
correct? But today we only have you two. I mean, we're so
Listen, we only have 2 mics.
right. We have 4 mics total. So I said, bring yourself and one other, and you chose the Wizard.
I did.
Yeah, good. So talk to me about what sparked your interest in doing what you do, and how did D.A.M.M. Paranormal come together?
Well, I started in the paranormal from the age 8. I've been able to see spirits, and it runs in our family.
Okay.
So that's what got me interested in it. We all of us were, except for Paul, were a part of another team before we made D.A.M.M, which was the 4 girls that made it. 2 of them have since retired.
So you're an M in D.A.M.M.
I am.
Okay.
And then Mary.
D.A.M.M.
Yes, Mary's the other M, and she lives in Texas. She's our other medium.
Okay. And who are the D and the A?
Doreen is, she's still with the team, and Amy and Angela, but those 2 retired.
Okay. Very good. And so you said that you, since the age of 8, have been able to see spirits.
Yes.
What does seeing a spirit look like to you? Like, is it actually visually seeing something? Okay.
It's almost all of your senses. I can see them, like physically, and then I can sense them, and where they send like pictures in my head, like a projection going off in my head.
Interesting.
And then I hear them as well.
Okay. Are those things like mutually exclusive? Like, if you're hearing them, are you also seeing them, or does sometimes it goes?
It can go both ways or either way.
Yeah. So if you see one, you're not necessarily, or I'm sorry, if you hear it, you can't necessarily see it, but
it could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be both, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. How about you, Paul? What got you into this?
Well, for me, I don't think there's another solitary thing that is as fascinating to me as spirits and ghosts. And again, for me, lifelong questions of our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And experiencing a few things that really gets you thinking about our existence here. And is it over or is it not?
Mm-hmm.
And just all of that I find, for me spiritually, and I just find the subject matter absolutely fascinating. So
Yeah. So you mentioned experiencing certain things can sort of take you down that path. So you said, Marcia, that you've been doing this you've been seeing spirits since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Is there anything that sticks out particularly that made you go, okay, I'm going to pursue this? Can you tell us maybe about an experience that sort of, broke down that maybe apprehension or whatever you were feeling at the time that sort of said, I'm doing this and this is...
Well, it's kind of a weird story.
Good.
So when I started seeing them at 8, like my mom can see them, and it's usually the daughters in the family that can see them, the firstborns. And I haven't seen my real father since I was 4. He lived in Texas. And when I was around 16, he had passed away. And I was in the bedroom, and I slept in the basement at this time, trying, just saying blessings for him, and hopefully, he's going to a better place. When this dark blob of a shadow came in through the wall and just rested itself on my bed, but to the point where I couldn't move or breathe. And I shut it down. And from 16 until 2011, I tried to just ignore everything and not mess with it. And then I was in a really bad car accident that almost took my life. Wow. And during my pass out stage, I guess, I was standing in the car lot that my car was facing towards, and there was a whole bunch of shadows in there talking to me. And I was like, oh crap, I'm dead,
Yeah.
Where then my daughter slapped me back to reality. And ever since then, I can't shut them out anymore.
Yeah.
I can't ignore them. I try to sage my home to keep them out of there, and some of them still get in.
Yeah. So but through this, instead, you don't just not ignore them, you pursue.
I do.
Because of investigations and hunts that you do. And we'll get a little bit further into that, but is there something that you said, instead of just living with and not ignoring anymore, I want to pursue, possibly help people? Is there something that why'd you decide to go that direction instead of just being, okay, this is a life that we live and there's spirits around? And
I just know a lot of people don't know where to turn when they have experiences, and they're looking for help, and I just want to help the living as well as the dead with their hauntings.
Okay. I'm interested in saying, when you say being able to help the dead, I understand the helping the living, but I think maybe we'll get back to that. I'd like to hear from Paul. What kind of is there an experience that you had that you're willing to share that you said, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is real, and this is my path.
Well, I've never been asked that. And have
you ever had a dog on your lap
Trixie.
chewing?
Oh, no, she's okay. No, she's comforting.
Yeah, she is. She really is.
Yeah. I've never talked about it much out of fear of sounding crazy, I guess. I'll just say that when I was young, very young, I experienced some things that I thought was quite normal, and then I come to find out maybe was not. And I'm not even saying that I think it was real. I am reluctant, but
Paul, if just to give you some comfort, either you don't have to talk about anything, but also know that this is a safe place. You're not getting any judgment here.
Oh, no. Yeah, I understand. I think I used to routinely leave my body when I slept. And when I was young, I had experiences like that all the time. And again, I thought it was, this is just the way life is. Not claiming that I think that's what was happening. But even at the time, it seemed to me like that's what was happening. So that kind of subsided a little bit, and then came back with a bit of a vengeance in my teens. And so I researched it, and I actually tried to dabble in it a little bit. And some of the experiences that I had were right on cue if you read about astral projection. And so I let that go because I had a few frightening experiences, and I let that go. And then a little bit later on in my life, I lived in a particular place that had activity. And so kind of my whole life, I mean, it started with it started with just the fascination of our existence versus another existence that, may be occurring after our human life has ended. So I've always been fascinated with that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. So let's talk about your investigative, whatever the word is, process. Is that all right? We'll get into a little bit of what maybe a hunt. Is that how you refer to what you do, or is it investigation?
It's more of investigations.
Okay. Most of these, again, correct me if I get something wrong, but most of these are locations. Is that okay? So when you approach a new location, how do you set up? Talk to me about your process in setting up an investigation. From, I know, Paul, the audio side and the technology side, that's sort of your bag, and then Marcia, you're a medium, and not to put words in your mouth or anything like that, but you both probably have your own process on what do you do when you get to a new location that you're investigating. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
Well, we usually do private residence. So people call us in, and we have a questionnaire that we go through first before we decide whether we're going to go there or not. And the first thing that we usually all do when we get there is try to debunk any of the claims that the owner has.
Come at it with some skepticism.
All right. Yes, okay. Of course. Yeah. Every time.
Not to interrupt, but can you tell me a little about what's in that questionnaire that you send over? Like, what kind of things is it just tell me about what's happening, basically? Or
what's happening when it first starts, if there's like smells with it, movement, touching, just stuff like that. And if you know how old their home is, because there's a lot of homes that have unshielded wire that can, if there's so much of it in an area, it can act like a fear cage, make you paranoid.
Yeah.
So we go through all of that stuff before we even decide whether we're going to go or not.
Yeah.
And then when we do get there, we have the homeowner walk us through the home, tell us where the hot spots are, where the most of the activity is. And while she's doing that, I'm looking around to see if there's anybody that want to show themselves to me. Most of them don't. Right away, they're scared, or some of them just don't want to be seen. And those ones usually are very angry when I do see them.
Do you feel like, however you want to answer this, do you feel like most spirits know that you can see them?
Oh, yes.
Versus somebody like myself who maybe doesn't?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They talk about me and Paul both on the other side.
Yeah.
We picked up them talking about us all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And they even will come visit me a couple of weeks before we even do an investigation, even before a client calls us.
Yeah.
They're at my house.
Knock, knock, knock. Hey.
Just
let's go over a little bit
my
about
privacy.
Let's go over what we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more just break in, is it not?
Yeah, it is pretty much. It's a home invasion.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're walking around, you're looking to see if any spirits or is spirits before we move forward an all encompassing versus like maybe or like a demon or like a is there different? I'm sure there's differences.
Yes,
but
I refer to spirits as human spirits
Okay.
and entities as something that's not a human spirit.
Okay.
But anyway, so we just walk through and then we start setting up like where we're going to put our cameras at, what room are we going to, start the EVP sessions in and make sure everything's quiet. And
So Paul, how do you decide where some of this technology goes and how you're going to set that up? And like, what does that look like for you?
Well, with Marcia's skills and gifts, I would be a fool not to listen to her and inquire on if she sees a lot in a certain area. Those are the areas that I'm going to want, that I would prefer to put my stuff. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to go there, but that's how I prefer to choose starting locations for equitment.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have for lack of a better term, a cheat sheet on where to start.
Absolutely. It'd be foolish not to utilize that.
Yep. And how do you, Paul, then ensure that, so you're using equipment, some of which you've created, correct?
Except for recorders.
Right.
I've created all of it, frankly.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you ensure, do you have a process with this equipment to make sure that it's working properly, that it's not, coming into this myself as a bit of a skeptic with an open mind, I believe, I would want to, just like if I were doing any, work or any job, I want to make sure that my equipment's working properly, because I don't want to get a false reading. If I'm going to go work on an electrical outlet, I want to make sure the power's off. Well, if I check it with my meter and, I'm reading that the power's off, well, I want to test it with something where the power's on to make sure it's, just that sort of thing. Do you have processes like that you go through?
Well, I do, but our main piece of equipment, we don't use anything that has banked words or any of the Frank's box type sweeping radio type things. No banked phonemes or anything like that. So just like you may check out a recorder, you may test it. How quiet is it? Am I hearing something? Is that a radio station? Is it picking up? The benefit of the main piece of equipment that we use, you can think of as a recorder because it is getting its stuff right from the environment as a recorder would. So it's easy. It's as easy to periodically test, as a good recorder.
What, you keep referencing the main thing that you use. Let's go into that. What is that?
Well, it's just something we refer to as the box.
The box. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. What does that look like? What is it?
We're very creative with our names.
I mean, you call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually version 2.
Yeah.
So the box version. One thing that I thought was, to me, the most fascinating evidence were EVPs when I first started.
And just explain for anyone who might not know.
It stands for electronic voice phenomena, and it is simply catching unexplainable disembodied voices on a recorder.
Okay.
And, when you use a recorder in that way, you've got to be really cognizant of your environment, that it's quiet, that there's not folks all around, because recorders can be awfully sensitive, right? And pick up. But that was the most compelling type of evidence that I had, that I had thought. And in working with EVPs for years, I discovered and developed a theory that what we were hearing in an EVP may be just the tip of the iceberg. And so I tried to develop some equipment to maybe exploit that theory. that there's maybe more that the recorder is not capable of getting, and thus the box. And then you can basically think of the box as a recorder with a signal to noise ratio on steroids.
Okay.
I've never measured its SNR, but I imagine that it's geometrically higher than even the finest studio recording equipment, because I think buried down in the noise floor are plethora of voices that we've never known existed. And this box is able to pull them out.
Wow.
Very cool. What does it look like? A box?
You should have brought it in. It's in the,
really should have brought it
It's in the
in.
car. Yeah, no, it's a box about yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of buttons on the front.
Yeah. Cool.
You know?
Does it make any noise? I want like beep 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 beep.
You should put beeps in it. Just to,
Yeah, you should. You
That'd be
should.
too cutesy.
yeah. You want people to start being more skeptical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put
Put
beeps in
beeps
it.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like something out of Scooby Doo or something like that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So Marcia, do you feel similarly to Paul about the most compelling actual evidence? So you can't screen record your eyes, right?
Right.
And your nose and your ears, which to you don't need any further evidence, I would imagine.
Right.
Right. You know what you're seeing and what you're doing, but that doesn't mean that everyone's going to believe you.
Right.
Right. So do you agree that audio and that sort of evidence is probably the most
Absolutely.
compelling or convincing?
It backs
or-
up everything that I say or see. We captured it
Yeah.
on his box.
Yeah.
Almost 90% of the time, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think as far as the types of evidence that, and today anyway, that can be collected to make a case for paranormal existence, I strongly believe that audio is the low-hanging fruit that has been stagnant for decades as far as paranormal research goes.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's because technology is only as advanced as technology is, and we can, you've got to have a certain something to be able to hear that, or do you think that it's something else?
No, I think there's been maybe a satisfaction with generally folks that get via recorders and EVPs.
Mm-hmm.
And I too am compelled by that, but I was on a quest to want more. Yeah.
Fair enough. Marcia,
Jeff?
what do you have some? What do you feel like is the most compelling piece of audio evidence that you have heard? Is there anything that just stands out to the forefront of your head? You might have sent me some of them.
Yeah,
But
I think the ones I sent you
okay.
are the ones, especially when I asked if you hate me,
Yeah.
if you say my name,
Yeah.
does it mean that you hate? And it says my name, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
You know,
I don't like you either.
in the clips you have,
Yeah.
I guess I just revealed you have clips. Right?
No, yeah.
Okay. There's a few from the box.
Okay.
And there's a few just from a recorder.
Okay.
So it's two different, it's collecting it in two different manners.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the little girl ones.
Mm-hmm.
That was so crazy.
Well, and the thing about it is I wish you could have been there with us.
Mm-hmm.
And not just to experience it in real time,
Yeah.
but more importantly, to know what the conditions were.
Okay.
Because I think when you present audio like this, and a fair question that goes in people's minds is, well,
What else was going on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
right.
Who
What
else
was around?
there? What
So
was-
I truly wish that you guys could have been there with us.
Yeah.
to
Me
know.
too.
No, and I say because it makes the evidence, if you could have experienced, if you could have known what the conditions were with this,
Yeah.
it would be that much more
Right.
compelling to you.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're going to get into these clips, and I think what I'm going to do is play them. I'm going to have you guys talk about what we were hearing, and then I might play them again just to give people another chance to sort of, because they're all very short that you sent me. But before we do that, Lauren, talk to me about your thoughts on all this. Where do you stand in the? I mentioned that I ride on the skeptical but open to pretty much everything in this world.
Yeah.
From mysticism to spirituality to everything. That's where I sit. When we're having this conversation, and I know the answer to some of this, but tell them and the listeners kind of where you stand here and sort of how you feel about all this. You didn't think I was going to interview
I didn't.
Did you?
No, you didn't send me the questions you were going to ask. No, I am very much a believer in, I am less of a skeptic than he is. My mind is way more open than his.
Hey, my mind is not closed.
No, I didn't say it was closed. I just said mine's just way more open.
Whatever.
But, I've had a few experiences, but I'm one of those people that I'm like, bring it on. I want the experiences. And I think that makes me kind of like, nah, she's good. We're not even going to show her anything because she wants it too bad. So this person over here that doesn't
want the
experience or isn't prepared for it or have any kind of awareness or preparedness for it. We're gonna do that to that person and not this one that's like, yeah, bring it on.
So you've dabbled in some tarot and things like that, or not more than dabbled. You do it or have done it, but you're not seeing things the way that Marcia's explained that she's okay.
No, I've had some experiences where I've heard some, I've had some weird experiences as far as like hearing some voices, like whispers in my ear type of things that really spooked me. And kind of like what you were talking about, out of body experiences a little bit. It's a little bit more, less, I think, of like an astral projection thing as it is like a in my head type of a thing, but I don't really know how to explain it. But, with some sensations, facial sensations and things like that I thought was just everybody had. And maybe it could be something, in the mental health field, but it also could be something in the supernatural field. I have no idea. I haven't really dug too far into it because it intrigues me so much.
But where maybe I would feel that, hear that, see that, and might chalk it up to, I must have had bad fish last night or something. Like you're maybe more open to saying that could have been something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on everything we just said? I'm just curious. Like, do you have like,
are you rolling your eyes at us right
now? No,
Okay.
not at all. Like I was thinking when he's like, I want this to happen to me. You don't.
Well,
once it does, you're like, okay, I'm done.
I don't want to be bothered by it, but I want an experience that's going to be like, like
you want some high maintenance haunting. Like you wanted to have it really your way.
Yes. I'm high.
And even though as many experiences that we've had, we're still skeptical every time we go into a new location.
You have to be. Yeah. I would assume.
I would be more skeptical of anything that you told me if you didn't say that you were still going into it skeptical. Honestly.
Right.
And I will, just so you know, I'm not sitting here not believing what you're telling me because who the hell am I to say that? I'm not. So, but the fact that you just said you go into it with skepticism and you go into it with, trying to debunk things first, to me, that's really important.
I think if you're going to do a true investigation, you have to do that. Yeah. You can't just go in and say, "Oh yeah, you got to go." So, you could, you could be anything, And as far as my mediumship, like there's no medium out there that sees 100% of everything that's around them. Sure, I don't care what anybody says; it's just not true. So I just want to clear the air with that too. Sure. Like I don't see everything.
Right.
Sure.
Do you think there's a lot of scam artists out there that are doing
absolutely.
this? Okay. You met some of them?
Oh, absolutely.
Is Jennifer Love Hewitt one of them?
she's a little kind of, right on some things. I'm just like,
Really? Okay. Ghost whisperer.
Let's get back into some of the audio. Back to what we were talking about, since Lauren interrupted us.
What?
I'm just joking. All right, so let's play these sound clips. This first one, Marcia, you sent these to me. You said this was from a hunt that you said was very active. I'll play it. I'll let you guys explain it.
Cool.
All right, here's the first one.
Sweetie, do you play with Madison?
I'm here.
Okay, talk to me. What did we just hear?
well, it sounds like a little girl,
Mm.
but it was not.
Okay.
It was.
So whose voice were we hearing first? Asking the question.
That was Paul.
Okay. Paul, talk to me about where that question came from. What was going on? Just talk to us about that scene.
Okay. Well, that wasn't the first time we heard a little girl utterance in real time. So we had already heard what sounded like little girl utterances. What you heard was coming from a basement, and we were above the basement in the living room. And
You were by the basement door.
so
you're crazy.
since it sounded like a little girl, I thought I would try to talk to her as if she were my own little girl.
Mm.
I actually wanted to go down to the basement to try to play with her. The young couple, the mom, I asked, go get the doll. And go get the doll. I want to go down. To me, it was maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity. And
So I'm sorry to interrupt you,
That's okay.
but there was a doll associated with the girl that you thought you were conversing with, or
It's in the other clips.
okay, all right.
well, yeah, the human little girl that just real quick, the human little girl that lived in the house that was not there that night, obviously, while we were doing our thing.
Is that Madison?
Yeah.
That you mentioned? Okay.
Yes. Would play dollies with her imaginary friend.
Mm.
Gotcha.
So that's the dolly I kind of, but then when I, was proposing, when I proposed the idea of, I'm going down there. Marcia said to me,
I said, oh, hell no, you're not.
she did.
And can you tell me why you told him that?
Because I knew it wasn't a little girl.
Okay.
It was just trying to play on his softer side
Mm-hmm.
because he has little girls and trying to get him to come to the basement.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to tell us what it was, what you were seeing or feeling?
I seen the energy of it. I didn't see it physically, and I could smell it. And I'm pretty sure it was a demon.
Wow. Can you try to describe that smell?
It's like what everybody thinks. It smells like sulfur.
Okay.
Rotten eggs.
Yeah.
And the energy was very thick and oozy.
Okay. Energy was oozy. That's a good descriptor. A thick energy. Jeez. Okay, so anything else to add before I play the next one, and then we'll go back and play the two together?
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
All right. So this is the second one attached to the first one.
Yeah.
That was, it may have not been the absolute first, but that was one of the first, little girl type noises that we heard that night that kind of started everything
Yeah.
off.
So we heard what sounded like a little girl, like almost skipping or humming, like it was like or something. And then we heard like a giggle.
And the giggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marcia, that was your exclamation at the end.
It was.
Right. Talk to me about that one.
It was so loud. Like I just could not, like we don't catch stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just so loud and clear that I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just something that you found maybe when you downloaded the sound bites from some of your equipment, Paul. It was something.
no.
It was just right there.
We heard that. We heard these in real time.
In real time.
How many people were there that were that heard that? Do you know? Do you remember?
I think
6.
yes,
Okay.
everybody was
Wow.
there, right?
Right. The 2 parents and then 4 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay. I'm going to play through both of those again real quick.
Sweetie, do you play with Madison?
I'm here. Oh my God.
Lauren, what do you think when you hear that?
I just try to put myself in your shoes, and that I can't even. I would have probably said a lot more than that.
Oh, there was a lot more.
There would have been more expletives.
Paul was kind enough to cut that off.
I probably would have freaked out, especially knowing what you did. You know, I don't know if you knew it at the time, but like, you know, feeling that the energy was probably not a sweet energy.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, she did, because it was why she was adamant that I was
Yeah, that
not
you
going
weren't
down
going
there.
to-
And
Yeah.
she takes care of me, and
Yeah.
she knows I appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
And I think prior to that, the little girl's bedroom, the human little girl's
Mhm.
bedroom's door slammed shut.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
I was like, it's about to go down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
The next one from the same investigation, the Come Play With Me.
Mhm.
Okay, that's from the
Mhm.
same one. Okay, let's listen to that.
Do you want somebody to come down with you?
Okay,
It's just so clear.
yeah. So what did we just hear?
I can't imagine that in real time.
Paul getting threatened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when
We didn't necessarily make out the "if you don't come play with me, then we will kill you" in real time, but obviously we heard, "if you don't come play," or whatever. We heard a little bit of it, but the brevity of that particular statement,
Mhm.
we didn't pick out in real time. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a threat.
So
Mhm.
so what we heard, it was the words "come play with me."
I think it is. "If you don't come play with me, then we will kill you." That's
And
the
then-
first
and
part.
then something about "get my doll," correct?
I believe it's Paul. "Get my doll."
Because
Wow.
he was talking about getting a baby doll to go downstairs
Sure.
and play.
Okay, so let's hear it. Oh, can I ask, in the clip, it clearly cuts, and I just want to just mention for the sake of anyone who might be listening, it clearly cuts. Is that to turn it up for the playback, or how
Well,
is that?
for that particular one, I did amp the little girl's voice so it could be more
Yeah,
easily, and there were some other reactions that
Sure.
I cut out
Sure.
just
There was
to
cussing.
kind of short.
okay, fair enough. So we're
But
we're
obviously
getting,
you can hear it amped. But I didn't do anything else
Yeah.
to it except maybe cut out some of our
Cussing.
oh,
conversation.
There was F-bombs
and
being
then I
dropped
just-
everywhere.
on that one, I just boosted the little girl parts.
fair, yeah. But that is just so anyone that might be listening, there's nothing cut into that. This is just okay. All right.
No, and in fact, in the Paul Get My Doll, there's an external noise in there that kind of obscures the clip. It's kind of a clicking type noise, so
Yeah.
you got to try to ignore that with your mind.
yeah,
Mhm.
someone's foot creaking or something. Like who knows? Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Do you want somebody to come down with you?
So what did we hear right before Paul Get My Doll? Was that like
People
some of you
reacting.
guys talking and
Mhm.
react? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. To me, I heard that if you don't come play
Mhm.
with me as well. So
Mhm.
yeah. Did that little girl, quote unquote, tell you who she was?
No.
No. Do you have any thoughts about besides just the demon?
Mm-mm.
No.
What did it get resolved? Did
No.
you? No. Still.
So
So where should I not move? then?
Right.
when we got that call, the claims were their little girl was playing with an imaginary friend in her
Mhm.
room. Her door, the bedroom door would open and shut, and there was a lot of banging. And we get these claims all the time, like
Mhm.
especially the banging and stuff. And like I said, we're always skeptical.
Yeah.
So when we got there, it was around 6 o'clock, and from 6 to about 9, nothing happened.
Mhm.
Absolutely nothing. No voices, no banging, no nothing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we were listening. Paul, the ear, I think it was the ears that you had in the basement, and we were so it was in the basement, so we can hear outside what was going
Mhm.
on inside the home. And we started hearing banging, and I'm like, oh. I said, well, that must be the homeowner showing, the other team members that are still inside with that sound, what it sounds like when there's banging.
Mhm.
And then Doreen comes out and she's like, are you guys banging on stuff out here? And I'm like, why the hell would we be
Right.
banging on stuff out here?
Yes.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And I thought it was them. And she's like, no, it's not us.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, okay. So we go back inside and nothing happened again.
No, of course.
Mhm.
And I was like, what the French toast is
Yeah.
going on?
Mhm.
And then that's when the bedroom door slammed shut, and we did hear banging. We was
Mhm.
upstairs, and it was just loud, and
Mm.
it sounded like somebody was banging on ductwork downstairs.
Wow.
So we went back downstairs to investigate again. Absolutely nothing happened.
Mm.
And I was like, what the
Mhm.
like, what is going on? So then we went back upstairs, and then it just started happening again. And I was like, okay, well,
Something doesn't want to play when we're down there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So this next one, Paul, you sent this one to me, but it's once again starring Marcia, I believe. So let's listen.
Do you hate me? If it's me that you hate, can you say my name?
So you were talking to someone. What were you talking to?
I don't think I seen this entity I was talking to.
Okay.
I could just like feel you can feel unwanted.
Mhm.
Everybody has energies, and you can
Sure.
usually tell if somebody's like kind of sketchy or not.
Sure.
And I think when we were getting answers to some of our EVPs, it was saying hate a lot,
Mhm.
and I was like, well, who are you hating on? Like, was it the homeowner you're hating, or is it me? Because I can see a lot of you guys here.
Mhm.
So apparently it was me.
Mhm.
So this one's a little bit harder to maybe understand,
Mhm.
but you believe that this one's saying Marcia.
I think it's Marcia.
Okay, let's hear it again.
Do you hate me? If it's me that you hate, can you say my name?
I mean,
Yeah, I can hear it.
Now, see, what's different about this one and the ones you're playing now, these are coming from the box.
mhm.
So
Like
it's-
a recorder wouldn't have picked that up.
Yeah, you're
Right.
picking it up through something else.
Right. Something to help.
It's in the
amplify.
environment. It's
Yeah.
just so low, a recorder's not going to hear it.
Gotcha. Okay, and are you hearing that like through headphones when you're talking to them, or how are you?
Or is it like after the fact
Yeah.
that you're?
No, so the box is listening for stuff.
Mhm.
And if it thinks it caught something, it commits it to an SD card and then blurts it at us right away.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so we do.
Okay, so
That's what we heard in real
so you
time.
heard it in real time
Mhm.
out of the box.
Wow.
Okay, gotcha.
That's cool.
All right, so this last one,
You guys did me a huge favor. I appreciate it so much that, honestly, I just want to say thank you.
okay, who were you talking to? What were you talking to? Do you know?
Yeah, well, so we were at, that came from Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa.
Mhm.
And there was a reporter there doing a little filming us for a little Halloween segment.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we had been hearing from the box stuff like with the words favor and Paul. And we didn't quite know what it meant at first. But then it dawned on me, hey, they're doing me a favor.
Mhm.
And so in that clip, you hear me thank them. And then clearly you hear them say, you're welcome.
You're welcome. All right, let's
Wow.
hear it one more time.
You guys did me a huge favor. I appreciate it so much that, honestly, I just want to say thank you.
Anything to add, Marcia? No.
Nope,
Were,
nope,
were you there with
I
them?
was
Okay.
there, but that
Cool.
was all Paul on that one.
So when you are looking through this stuff, how do you determine if something is there some way you would determine that something's truly paranormal or versus just like a natural thing? Like maybe like is there any way you filter that?
Well, I think
Because I don't know. Let me
Go ahead.
I guess answer or give you an idea of where that comes from.
Okay.
When I hear that, I don't know that I would hear that and immediately hear you're welcome
Mhm.
or Marcia on the stuff from the box. And that's not because I don't hear it now that we're talking about it.
Mhm.
I feel like depending on what I was hearing, maybe it's just my untrained ear,
Mhm.
but I don't know that I would immediately go, that was something speaking. So is there a way that you maybe differentiate, or is it very clear when you're listening to the whole thing?
Like when you're in the moment.
Right. When you listen back, is it, because we're only hearing the little bit that you gave to us.
Right.
So maybe it's clear when you're listening to it, if it's, a buzzing the same all the way and then it changes and then you go, oh my gosh, that was something.
Well, it only records if it picks something up, right?
Right.
if it,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
if it
That's right.
if it
Yeah.
if it thinks it, yes, it's not a continuous recording.
Okay.
Right.
Typically, unlike an EVP, like traditional EVP with a recorder where maybe you get one, maybe you
Mhm.
get two, many times you get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We typically get a dozen or 2 dozen. We typically hear a lot of talking. Many times a lot of more than one voice at a time, even.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it's pareidolia,
Mm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what?
Pareidolia.
I'm not familiar with.
Also known as matrixing.
Yeah. It's like I'll let you. Well, it's like
It's the human mind's
like projecting.
desire to try to make sense of something that doesn't make
Right.
sense.
Okay.
It's like when you see faces in trees and things like that.
Yeah, like
Right,
animals
exactly.
and
Yeah.
clouds. It's all
Okay.
Right.
matrixing. Or,
And it's a totally fair thought.
Sure.
What I would say is, if you and I could sit down for an hour and I could show you a body of work, I could show you from a single location pertinent phrases, sentences, names
Mm.
of family members, both here and not here, to there where you might think, wow, if this is pareidolia, that was just a 7-word sentence that mentioned
Right.
by name a dead relative.
Mm-hmm.
So after one has experienced that kind of thing hundreds and hundreds of times, to me,
Mhm.
that's a clear you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
But is that fair, Marcia?
That's fair. Paul, how long have you been with us? How long would you say? 7 years?
5-ish.
And I could not understand a thing that was coming out of that box for the longest time. It's just been in the last couple of years
Well, but
that I've been able to pick it up.
version 2 has improved.
It is,
on
yes.
things.
You're right. It has.
And even when I first came out with version 2 for about the first year and a half, I was still tweaking parameters.
Yeah.
So version 2 has been static for almost not quite a year, probably 9-10 months,
Yeah.
where I don't tweak it anymore because I'm going on to a version 3
Yeah.
because I think I'm getting everything I can out of a version
Right.
2. But anyway, so it's not been static.
Yeah, it is a lot easier for me to pick them up now, just because we've been doing it for so long. And I would even say if you guys were ever to come with us for an hour and do an investigation, the longer the investigation goes, I can guarantee you'll start picking up stuff
Sure.
out of the
Yeah,
out of the box.
I have no doubt about that. Yeah. Thank you for answering that. How do you balance respecting the unexplained and maintaining a healthy dose of skepticism yourself? And I think where that question comes from is when I am really into things, it's hard for me to see anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I have this, like, I feel like if this was something that I was doing regularly, like you guys do, and I was sold, I was like you, where I'm like, this is, I know that how do you keep one foot grounded? How do you keep it as, am I making any sense? Or is it like, maintaining that healthy bit of skepticism to do what you do without just, I feel like I would want to jump to everything and go, did you hear
That's
that?
how I would be.
Because
I can almost guarantee that's
Yeah.
how I would be because I get very into that kind of stuff,
Can
and
you
it'd
guys
be
speak
easy
on
to
that a
slip
little?
into that.
Yeah.
I think just because we've been doing it so long
Okay.
that we
Mhm.
know, like, refrigerator sounds,
Sure.
if somebody's moving just the slightest bit, and we know what that is, you know.
Mhm.
As far as respecting whenever we're doing stuff, I talk to the dead as if I'm talking to you. Like, I'm
Okay.
going to respect you and talk to you like a human, a person,
Mhm.
because that's what they are in the
Mhm.
end. Well, most of them, but
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm not one to think everything is paranormal.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. One thing okay, so I've had the privilege. Well, firstly, that she's my friend.
Mhm.
That's most important. But secondly, I've had the privilege to be able to work with her and to see her gifts and skills in action. As many times as I have seen her with complete strangers, tell them, like maybe, for instance, somebody that is hanging out with them and then describe them and then tell them their name and watch the people's jaw hit the floor.
Mhm.
you're talking about the craft fair, aren't you?
Well, I'm talking about the craft fair, but I'm talking about 100 other times too when I have seen that kind of thing.
So I need to know what happened at the craft
Yeah,
fair.
I think there's 2 incidences.
There was 2 incidences at the
Okay.
craft fair.
Well, there was the first lady that came up to me.
And you were selling Marcia's Wicked Creations. Is
I
that
was,
correct?
yes, and this was in
Shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shameless plug.
This was in Wahoo, and I believe, like, when I say I believe, because I have to think back, because I see a lot of
Yeah,
spirits,
sure.
so I can't always
all right.
remember every one that I see. But I believe it was her brother that was with her, right?
It was.
Yeah, that was standing behind her.
That you named by name, which we won't say what
Yeah.
the name was, but that you named by name.
Mm-hmm.
He was like behind her, like pointing at her, and he's like, "That's my sister. That's my sister." And I was like,
You don't haunt me like that, I swear
I'm
to
not.
God.
I'm not going to approach.
I will.
People that I don't know. I'm like, hey, yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I saw her looking at me. She was doing this to me. She was talking to this nice lady, and she was kind of doing this to me, like.
I
I
move
thought,
my
oh,
shoulders
man.
a lot, like when
Yeah.
they're around, because they're touching me all the
She was
time.
looking at me, and I knew she was seeing something, and she was reluctant to say anything. But why did you?
Because he wouldn't leave me alone.
That's right.
He was persistent. He was like, "No, you got to tell her. You got to tell her now that I'm here."
So this spirit,
Mhm.
he said to you, I know you can see me. Basically, I mean, I'm not putting words into anybody or anything's mouth, but he basically was like, I know that you see me, and I would really like for you to tell my sister that I'm here.
So when I walked into the building, to see where I was going to be at. I'm just walking and I look up, and at that time I didn't know it was a ghost because he was so solid and so strong. And I just looked up and looked at him, and he was just like, and I was like, oh shit.
He's like, you can see me?
And I looked away and I was like, okay, I'm just going to walk over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then harassment until I talked to his sister.
And how did she respond?
I mean, I don't know what and I just sit back and watch this.
Yeah.
Right. And she was blown away. I thought her jaw hit the ground when you said the name. And she was, I felt, and I'm if she's listening to this, I felt, she was taken aback by it, quite taken aback by it.
Yeah.
So then did you continue conversation with her for a while?
Yeah.
Did you
A little
for
bit.
lack of a better term, translate between them or anything like that? Or
No, she was busy.
okay.
Like when I was trying to tell her, I think she was so flabbergasted by it. She didn't really stick around too long after
That's
that.
interesting because
Yeah,
I'm
no
telling you right
kidding.
now, if my sister passed away, that one, and
I'm the only one you have.
yeah, and you came up to me and were a stranger and said, "Hey, your sister Lauren is with you right now."
I would drop everything.
I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
What else was doing?
Yeah.
Again, everyone's their
I
own.
don't. I mean,
everyone's
some
their
people
own thing,
are
but-
weird, and the
Yeah.
other lady
Well-
that came up,
Yeah.
I asked her if she had a baby that passed away, like a newborn, and she said yes. And I said, well, she's here, and she's not a newborn anymore. You know, she's like 7 or 8, and she's like, that's how long ago it was.
Wow.
And then she didn't stick around, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is
You
why
would not be able to
This
get
is why
rid
I
of
don't
That's
tell
what-
people."
Yeah.
You wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to get rid of me.
Do most of them probably just kind of say, "Yeah, right," and then they move on? Or?
But Jeff, it would be one thing if, and Lauren, I hope you're here till, you're,
Me too.
no, but just, I
Same.
mean, hypothetically, it would be one thing if a complete stranger came up to you and said, oh, your sister's here with you. You'd be like, yeah.
Yep.
Be a wholly nother thing if somebody came up to you and described her look and said, and her name's Lauren and she wants she's asking me to tell you that she's with you. Completely different.
Yeah.
And then if you said like, and this whole time her foot's like in your face,
Yeah.
then I'd be like, yep,
Oh,
that's
yeah, that's
Lauren.
my
Yeah.
sister.
And I hear, right.
Yeah.
And no, it's something, it's just an even further piece that
Yeah.
would be to Jeff would be like,
Right.
holy crap.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to kind of meet, and I appreciate your questions and like, well, how do you stay, frankly, it's hard
Yeah.
because that's just one instance. And I could name, literally, I said 100. I could probably name a dozen or two more like that I have experienced with her and what that does for me. And then another dozen with Mary from Texas, which is just mind blowing.
We work well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what that does for me is when I know what the conditions are, I know that these people are complete strangers. I know that she's said descriptions and names, and then that the people have said, well, yeah, you're right. What does that do to my belief about that there's something more after this?
I would also like to add when I see spirits, besides the different types of spirits, like, human spirits and so far. With the human spirits, I can tell when they have passed and crossed over, or if they're just hanging around, and because they look like they're still dead. And that's really creepy.
Yeah.
And the ones that have crossed over, and then, you're allowed to come back and visit your loved ones and stuff. They usually have like a gold glitter around them, and they look normal in full color and stuff.
Wow.
Are there animal spirits?
Absolutely. My Chihuahua had passed away a couple years back, and she was my love. She was just my baby. And I had a little bell on her collar, just so I know where she was at, so I didn't accidentally kick her, putting her like a football across the room.
Yeah.
And I hear that bell all the time.
Oh,
It's
Are there any animals in this house?
There is.
Jeff.
Can you describe them?
I can't. Like, they're not in full color or anything. They're more like a shadow right now. But yes, there is.
Well, that is going to conclude part 1 of our 2-part. We decided on the fly that this was going to be a 2-part episode, but to respect everyone's time, we're going to cut this off right now and come back again next week with part 2 of our discussion with Paul and Marcia of D.A.M.M Paranormal. If you like this interview, which I hope you do, and you want to give us some thoughts, some comments, or questions for Marcia and Paul or for us, the best way to do that is to reach out to us on our email, through email, and our email address is
My Mama Done Told Me podcast @gmail.com.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. And we'll have some links to take you to D.A.M.M Paranormal's website in our show notes.
Shoy noise.
Oh, I just think that the short weights are very important to have.
They are.
You guys are great. So anyway, links to all that will be in our show notes.
Shoy noise.
You guys are the best.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll have part 2 coming up next week. We hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. Until next week, we love you. Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.
Can you guys tell our listeners that you love them?
We love you.
Oh, we love you. Of course we do.
Trixie
All right.
loves you.
I be dropping F-bombs all the time.
No, you don't.
Oh my
You
God.
can. You can do whatever you want.
I do it too.
Sorry, I didn't realize your dog was eat.
I didn't know. No, hey.
She was going back for seconds.
Good Lord.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get it out of the way. No, get! What are you doing?
Trixie. She's
What's the
coming.
matter?
She's coming.
Yeah, okay.
Paul has a friend.
Yep.
Oh,
Now she's your friend for life.
good.
No worries.
You're just gonna gulp that on the.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, great. Make my job a whole lot easier.